One of the most powerful features of FileBound Connect is being able to integrate with other third-party applications. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how we can set up an integration between FileBound Connect and a web-based application I have titled Skyward. And Skyward is a program that contains student records. So I'm going to show you how once we set up this integration and I'm going through these different student records, FileBound Connect is going to let me know when it finds a file in FileBound that matches the student record on the screen. So in order to set up the integration, the first thing that we do is we go to Integration and select Setup. Then we're going to choose which project I want to set up the integration with. For this example, I'm going to choose Skyward Student Records. After I choose the project, then I'll choose the integration type, and there's 4 currently to choose from. WinSpy, which is integrating with Windows-based applications, Web, Excel, or Dynamics GP. So as I mentioned, I'm going to do a web-based application, and I'm going to go ahead and select Add. This will open up the index setup. So on this screen, what it's going to do is I'm going to notice that I have all of my index fields listed down below. And what I need to do is I need to tell it where in this web-based application it's going to be able to find this index field information in order to search FileBound or to be able to create new files. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over a little bit, and I'm going to open up this web application. Now you'll notice as soon as I opened that up, it populated my window title. What it's doing is it's looking at the browser and it's finding the name of this window that's open. You'll also notice that it lists Microsoft Edge. That happens to be the browser that I'm using for this demonstration. But I can replace that with a ... and that just is a dynamic data, so it's saying in any browser where I'm finding this particular page. Now when you're using Chrome, you do need to go and add a Chrome extension for FileBound Connect. Now that I know which window I'm looking for, I'm going to start setting up the index field information. So the first thing that I'm going to look for is the student name. And I'll notice over here, this is the name that I want to look for, and it's Virginia Sherrill Adams. So I can start just by typing in the word Adams, and I could type in the entire full name, but I can also just search for Adams. It's going to search on this entire page and return any time that it finds the word Adams. What I want to use, I'm going to go ahead and use this label here and click Add. You can also, once you add it, you can click a test, and it's going to show you student name, and it's reading it properly. The next thing I want to look at is my student ID. And I simply typed that in from this student number. Click search, and I'm going to choose this label or this input field and click add. Again, I could test it to make sure that it's reading the information correctly. Now when you're setting up your integration, you don't have to map every single index field. A lot of times you're just going to be using this to search for that key ID or that key index field, and it will return or open up the file whenever it finds that key field. I'm going to go ahead and set up all 4 of these though, so I can show you how we can actually create brand new files with all the index fields populated. And finally is the internal ID. And I'll do one more test to make sure that it is reading all the information properly, and click OK. Now you also have the ability to set up scripts. So if there's a field, maybe you need to concatenate some fields, or you need to strip some zeros or something like that when it's reading the information on the web page. You also have the ability to set up a PowerShell or a VB script on each one of these lines. And when you open that, it just opens up to a script screen. Now, once I have my integration setup, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Click OK again, and I'll see that I do have my integration set up. And before we actually do anything with this, I want to open up FileBound and show you how it's reading these integrations and where we can see them from within FileBound. So in the FileBound site, if I go into Main Options and scroll over to Integrations, I'm going to see that I now have two different integrations, and they're listed as web service because that's where their setup is in the FileBound Connect. And we're going to have the ability to look at these or delete these integrations. Now, we're not going to be able to edit them in any way. All the editing needs to be done from within FileBound Connect. But I just want to show you that we're able to see these integrations from within your FileBound system. Now, I'll go back to our web program. The other thing that we need to do in order to use an integration, I'm going to actually minimize this for a moment, and I'm going to turn on the integration mode. So now that I have the integration mode turned on, actually let's do this. I'm going to switch projects even. And let's say that I just have FileBound Connect just kind of sitting over here, a little transparent on my screen. And I decide that I'm going to start working in my Skyward application. Now when I bring that up, you'll notice immediately that it switched my program to Skyward Student Records, and it also came up and it said no file found. So you'll notice, I'm going to make this a little less transparent so we can see it a little better, that it shows me the student name, student ID, date of birth, and internal ID, but everything here is still grayed out. That's because I don't actually have a file currently in FileBound for Virginia Sherrill Adams. And just to show that, if we go back to FileBound and I search my Skyward Records project, you're going to notice that I do not have a student in there by that name. Now from Connect, I can go ahead and click Create, and it will create this project in our FileBound. So if I went back and I did another search, you'll notice now I have a file in there for Virginia Sherrill Adams. Now another thing we can do, I'm going to go ahead and minimize my Connect, and I'm going to say I'm just working in my student profile here. I'm looking up different students' records. I'm going to go ahead and click on the next one. And this is going to open up Nancy 8. Oh, look at that. My FileBound Connect pops up and it shows me that there's 4 documents that were found. So I can click on that. It's going to show me that Nancy Amy Adams is a student. I do have a file on her in my FileBound project, and it shows me that I have 4 different documents. So I see 2 here, 1 under state test score, and 1 under transcript. Now at any time if I wanted to look at the document, I can either do a right mouse click and it'll show me a list of documents in that divider, or I can just double click it, and that's going to open up the Windows viewer and show me that document related to that file. So whether your Connect is open or minimized, whether your transparency is full or it's kind of in the background there, FileBound Connect is reading what we're looking at while we're on this web page. So as I scroll through these different students, it's going to let me know whether it finds a result or not. If it doesn't find a result, it's going to give me the opportunity to create the file directly in FileBound. So one more thing to show you with the web-based applications, if I were to use Chrome, what I'd need to do is open up Chrome and search for the FileBound Connect extension. I can go ahead and add that extension. You'll notice that it has been added, and I can see that I have the connection up here. That way you're going to be able to use Chrome when you're setting up those web-based integrations as well.